Mouthpieces are weird, and there's tons of them everywhere. Like this one. This is an Adjust-A-Tone. This was made back in like the 80s and the 90s, and everyone used to use them back then, but they stopped using them. But it's really cool because you can move the baffle, and so that kind of made me think we should talk about other mouthpieces. So today we're going to be talking about innovations in mouthpieces over the years and what that basically means for the future. Stick around. It's going to be really cool. Howdy everybody, my name is Andrew King. We are here at Alamo Music. Don't forget to visit us at alamomusic.com where we have all of these items available for your perusing. Today we're going to be talking about mouthpieces. Recently I got myself a brand new mouthpiece from my dad. He had this in a box and I was looking for a new mouthpiece. I'd been playing on a tenor saxophone Tone Edge 7-star for so long, but I've been looking for something that just had a little more punch. So I was like, maybe we'll get something with a baffle in it. And I was telling that to my father, and basically he said he had this old mouthpiece. It was called the Adjust-A-Tone, and it's basically a mouthpiece, and I showed you at the beginning, where you can move a little slot, and it moves the baffle inside, and you can kind of change how it sounds. And it really got me thinking about all the kind of innovations that have been made. I haven't seen a movable baffle since, so that's what I want to talk about today. We're going to talk about mouthpieces. Now, there's tons of different ones, and there's tons of reasons to get different ones as well. They're tools, mostly. Now, most sound is going to come from the person. That's just it. If I were to play on a Selmer C-Star and then play on a 4C and then play a Meyer 6, I would sound pretty similar all around. It would just be certain textures to the sound, like the openness, the ability to pierce, but the overall tone quality will be the same. And that has to do with air control, the amount of air that's going through the instrument, how fast it's going, and also embouchure. Tons of reasons, but mouthpieces are also just really cool to talk about. There's tons of different ones, and there's tons of people working on them every day, and there's tons of different companies trying to innovate what's new and what's coming out later in the future. Like another company, Maxax, who we had on the channel earlier. They are fantastic classical mouthpieces that have been trying to innovate for years, using fantastic material like German hard rubber, great machinery, basically have made a mouthpiece with a copper base on where you place the mouthpiece, and that has created basically a very nice controlled, even sound. They also have a great new material colors as well, and that's something that even like Sios has been doing. Sios has been making these 3D printed mouthpieces that have been fantastic. They can come in different sizes, different baffles, and even with their search engine, you basically innovatively create a mouthpiece that was the same as someone else's from the past. If you wanted to sound like Coltrane, if you want to sound like Charlie Parker, if you want to sound like new players like Chad L.B. or Patrick Bartley, you're going to be able to get that kind of sound because the mouthpieces are being made in there and basically to facilitate anyone to get that sound with it. Of course, it's also always up to the player, so be careful of that. You're not easily going to be able to get that sound with that mouthpiece, but these do make it so that's easier to get there. Then you get into more of the jazz mouthpieces out there. Another one that I'm a huge fan is the JDX7 from Rousseau. That has slants instead of a regular baffle that's on the tip of the mouthpiece. That means that it gets a lot more punchier on the side, and it's kind of comes into the mouthpiece so it pushes through, and it's a lot easier to get that real harsh, low and berry sound. Usually with berries, it's really hard to do that without a large amount of air going into like a mouthpiece with like an 8-tip opening to get that real berry sound, you know what I mean? But with this one, it's a lot easier. So I use a JDX7, and I don't have to use as much air as my contemporaries while still getting that same kind of tone quality that makes the berry sax so fun in the first place. I do also recommend checking out anything from Van Doren. Van Doren's been making mouthpieces for years, and they are a classic for a reason. But the only problem is that they've been just making the same ones for so long that it's kind of hard to go along with it sometimes. And so that's where Selmer Paris, in my opinion, has been making some great ones. The Spirit, there's a bunch of other mouthpieces as well from Selmer that I'm a huge fan of, especially Selmer Paris as far as those classical mouthpieces. They've been fantastic over the years, and I always recommend them as well. And then you can also get nice stock mouthpieces for pretty inexpensive prices. Maxax, of course, has really nice ones for pretty low prices. Usually mouthpieces these days are going from like $200 to $400 all the way up there, but with instrument mouthpieces from Maxax, they're making these with such good quality for lower prices, almost as low as like $120 for really good quality mouthpieces. It's not any wonder why they're basically becoming kind of the name of the game, in my opinion, as far as having consistency. Large amounts of easily orderable. They get them out in a short amount of time. I totally recommend them to anybody. Now, with that said, I do appreciate you guys watching. I am very, very passionate about mouthpieces. There's tons of them available, and there's tons of cool things you can do. Check out YouTube. There's tons of people talking about them too, and you can see a bunch of different ones available, and you can use them. There's a bunch of different setups as well that you can kind of go to. So, like if you go to like a trade show, you can try them out. I totally recommend checking out like TMEA in February here in San Antonio. It's a fantastic conference, and a bunch of different companies come by, so you can try out their mouthpiece and see what you like. Also check and see if you can do any kind of flight testing. Sios is fantastic for this kind of thing, where you can kind of try out the mouthpiece. If you don't like it, you send it back, and then they see if they can re-edit and make you a good one. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Get down in the comments. I do want to know, what is your mouthpiece right now? What are you playing on? Why do you play on it? What got you into that one? They're really fun to talk about, and I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.